I don't know, like, she's out there. You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigar.
Don't be an asshole today.
How are ya?
Good. We're just waiting on Nick. He told me he's just waiting for his tea to steep.
Oh, how British of him.
Right? He's just telling me he has a very floral blend going on, fruity and floral. Very good.
So how are things in London?
Wet and windy.
Ah, that's the London weather, huh?
It is the London weather right now. I know it'd be nice to get away from it for a little bit because it's been just so gray lately. It makes you feel like, like there's just so little day, so little day.
I like the gloom and doom
So did
weather.
Gemma. She loves it. She was.
She loves it.
We were just wrapped up in blankets watching some new reality show about.
Oh, how
Yeah.
nice. You guys know how to live. I want to come and stay with you.
Yeah, it's
Love what you do with your friends, that you do the girls' night
game
game
night.
night, right?
Yeah.
And then just the two of you, how you just, cuddle and watch movies.
Yeah. So now
Hope
this afternoon we've got Nick joining us, our queer
you.
news and entertainment guy, and he's
Mhm.
been at the Denver Film Festival for the last
Oh,
2 weeks. So
geez.
he's got a bunch of
Yeah.
movies. And I think his tea is finally ready. So let's let this homo in.
I should have made tea for this.
I don't even have tea, and I'm born in Britain.
Hi.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
We're very excited about your tea.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's so
Oh,
British
gosh,
of you.
Thank you for your patience. It took so long and I filled it too high and I was like carefully trying to bring it into the bathroom here without spilling it. Like,
I
come
just
on,
said
hurry up.
my wife would go nuts over that. Like it sounds very fruity and florally and yeah, she
What
would.
kind of tea? What's the tea you have today?
It's a mix of two different blends from Harney and Sons. One's Capri and the other is a fruit style sauce. And
Oh,
they're like really fruity, just like Denise was saying, and it smells amazing.
Uh,
it's amazing.
we will buy an orange, and I have to eat the inside, and then Gemma will chop the orange peel up into these nice
Wow.
strips, and then put them in the air in the cupboard where the boiler is, and they dry out from the heat in there,
Oh,
and then
that
she put
sounds
them in a little baggie, and she'll put them in her in her tea, and it's like, like it's just, yeah. Apparently, it makes a huge difference. And then we stumbled onto and JD, your cousin AJ just found this over in the States, and he's addicted too. But Yorkshire makes this tea, the biscuit blend, and it
uh-huh.
tastes like tea that somebody has dunked biscuits in
Oh,
over and over and
nice.
over again.
I
Like,
think I can get addicted to that.
yeah, I'm not a tea drinker, and I will drink that in a heartbeat. Like it's so, even when it gets cold, it's just like I don't even know. It's so good. So yeah,
Wow. And what is
I
it called?
see that
Make
he's into
that?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire, we can get it here, or did he get it when he was
Apparently, I don't know where he's getting it from, but yeah.
find out?
And when I was in Boston, when we were doing this cruise thing, and we were in Boston for the day, we went to Quincy Markets, which is this massive, massive hall. And it's just rows and rows and rows and rows of stalls and food and souvenirs and trinkets and t-shirts and gifts and more food. And there was there was one stall that we thought that we were like, we had these great Yorkshire teas over here and nobody else could get them. And one of them is called Toast and Jam, and that
Oh,
exactly like tea that you're having with toast and jam. It's
wow.
crazy. Like, I don't know how they do it, but it's so perfect. And we're walking through these stalls in Boston, and there's this one that has all the different teas. It's got the biscuit tea, it's got the toast and jam, and we're like, what? What? So yeah, they must be available somewhere in the States. Like, I seriously don't think people are paying an import tax for, different blends of tea.
I
Imagine
am gonna look for that.
they
I've
probably,
been
they do have that one shitty little section in Publix
yes,
that's
yes, the shitty
the
little section. I
international,
know.
where it sells literally soy sauce and British biscuits.
Right, right.
So,
I went to a new place called it is in oh, where was it? It's in Pompano called the Soulful Steep. And they have all these different it's a hippie, as you can imagine from the name. It's a hippie vibe.
yeah.
And they have all these teas, and then you pick your tea, and if you don't know what you want, they kind of help you figure out what it is that you want. No,
Someone's
based on what you
birthday,
like.
I did that. I booked their like two seats at a tea seminar, basically
Uh-huh.
at like a tea shop in Soho.
Yeah.
And her and Katie went because I'm not a tea drinker, it would just be so lost on me, but those two, yeah. So they went and had an afternoon of all different teas, like especially because I think they really focus on the international blends, like the
Yeah.
Indian ones, and because like chai is huge over here, and Gemma's friend, I don't know what I think, I can't remember whether she's Sikh or Hindu or I don't know, but she taught her how to make chai tea, so she makes it at home, and I am telling you, the whole house smells, and it's amazing. It's just it's a lot of different spices, and you think, oh, how's this gonna work? Like, how do you even know?
Right.
But
Right.
it
Exactly.
is incredible. And even with the biscuit tea, she will put like 2 slices of real thin raw ginger root in the
Oh.
tea, and then it tastes like a ginger cookie is in the
Oh,
tea,
wow.
like a ginger snap tea. Oh my God.
That
We're
sounds
See, you've
incredible.
inspired us. You've
it is
inspired us, Nick, with your tea today.
I know, right?
I need to try these teas. That sounds great.
Inspired.
Oh my God. So, all right. So we're all having a tea afternoon Sunday. But I know, JD, that you have someplace to go, and I had volcano burritos for lunch, so
Oh,
we've probably got 45 minutes to an hour before this goes south.
I
I,
am going. I'll tell you this quick because we have to talk to Nick. Tonight, I am going to the Golden Girls pop-up restaurant in
restaurant,
Miami.
yes.
Oh,
Heard of it?
wow.
Yeah, it's the Golden Girls experience, and I believe they have actors, actresses playing their parts,
They do.
and they have the sets, some certain parts of their sets in their house, and there's a menu, and of course
It'll
with
be
cheesecake.
so fun.
Yeah,
It'll,
it's going to be fun.
I think, remember when we had Frank DeCaro on the show? So his husband Jim wrote Golden Girls Forever book, and
Oh, really?
researched it for like a year and a half prior to even writing it, and
Hmm.
interviewed people that were involved with the show, and producers and writers and all that kind of stuff. And they then went on a Golden Girls cruise, and they like had so many pictures, and then they were going to all the different pop-up Golden Girl. He was getting it. He was on like Good Morning America too, Jim,
Oh, wow.
talking about the book and everything. But they get invited to all these little pop-up places, and I think that they um might have been to the Miami one. But yeah, they look
Mhm.
amazing. It reminds me so much of like the Friends experience that they have
Yes,
those
it's the
things.
same company.
Yeah,
It's called Bucket List, and they
yeah,
have different shows.
yeah. Gemma
So,
did
yeah,
the Friends one too.
that's
Oh yeah, that'll be good. So we'll give
That's
you
really cool.
enough time to get down there and relaxing,
right.
find parking.
Thank you.
Nick, I was telling JD that you've spent like the last 2 weeks knee deep in the Denver Film Festival. Um,
Yes.
yeah. And I know because and I just want to say this loudly and proudly, before I deactivated my Twitter account, It is a cesspool of anti-Semitic garbage and misinformation.
Yeah.
I had to. I just couldn't justify having it anymore. It's so hateful, you know. But before I did that, I saw a lot of your posts about the different, movies that you were either going to see or have just seen. So I thought, yeah, we gotta have you back and we gotta talk about your favorites. And I know you were excited about some directors that were going to be making appearances. So
Yeah,
we were able to get the full film festival. This wasn't a gay film festival,
Yes.
was it?
it wasn't. It had a good selection of queer films, but it covers a wide range of different types of films.
I was going to ask you, Saltburn?
Saltburn, it wasn't at the Denver Film Festival because
It's already
it's
streaming.
releasing
Yeah.
too soon, yeah. But it's coming out, it came out yesterday here in the States, so
Okay. All right. So that's on your list?
it is. I am seeing it next weekend. I cannot wait. I've heard it's
I've heard a lot.
crazy and
Yeah.
I
Heard a
love
What's
lot
it
it.
about
called? What's it
Salt,
called?
Saltburn.
Saltburn. Oh,
All one
really?
word. It's
Movie?
the castle, right? That's the name of the. I don't even know, but it's very old timey and
Oh.
old timey. Yeah, I've seen a couple of different clips and things. So
I'm gonna look it up.
she's just upstairs wrapping Christmas presents.
Oh, look at you guys ahead of the curve.
I know.
Yeah, it's
So
not
good.
even December yet.
I know, but I don't know if if I ever told you this before, but we only get paid once a month here.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to budget and do a little bit of Christmas shopping starting literally in October and get a few things. And then with your November, get a few things. And then while I'm in Florida, I will probably get a few things. And God help me, man, if I hit at the casino, that's when I go really crazy. everybody to the Apple store. But we'll see. But if not, I gotta
I can't imagine getting paid just once a month. Like we get paid really twice a month here mostly,
I
and
remember that.
that's like difficult enough as it is. So I can't imagine only getting paid once. How do you budget that?
It's brutal. It's
Uh-huh.
absolutely brutal. I mean, I don't know. I think everybody has their bank set up, like the online banking for direct debits. Everything is literally direct debit. So all your big stuff, but yeah, it's very, it makes planning these things like intense, especially holidays or when you do have to drop a big, you get a big hit of something. It's just like, wow.
Oh yeah, especially at holidays.
Right. So I am trying to be a little bit smarter and just do little bits, all the time. So I'm, collecting now. I'm just like getting all the little things ready and so is she. So yeah, that's what we're doing. But anyways, let's talk about what you did see and what you did like. And if you have any scoop on a crap one, that would be fun.
Well, I am happy to share that all the films I saw 11 films in total at the Denver Film Festival. It was originally going to be 16, but I had to cut some down because,
Not
you
enough
know,
hours in the day.
not enough hours in the day with everything else. And all the films I saw were incredible, really great films. The queer films were just really interesting, just very compelling, different types of stories.
Yeah.
I'd love to share some of them.
Yeah.
So the director that I was really excited that was going to be at the Denver Film Festival was Andrew Haigh, and he is a British filmmaker. He directed 45 Years and this queer classic, like modern classic called Weekend. And he's done a lot of queer films since then. And his new film that I got to see was All of Us Strangers, that stars Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. And it was so good. The performances, especially Andrew Scott, just the way that he is able to how he's able to convey his emotional vulnerability when he comes face to face with his parents again, because the plot of it is he lost his parents when he was younger, and he never came out to them. They don't know really anything about his life. And then when he goes back to his childhood home, he finds them and they're back from the dead, and he's able to have those conversations and those moments that he missed out on. And it was really beautiful, a really beautiful
Really
story.
interesting concept.
Very
Yes.
Interesting
yeah.
concept. Like, I will forever wonder what my dad would have thought of my life.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
passed away when I was
Yeah.
like just turned 19, and I hadn't, come out yet. So I often wonder that, like, would it have brought us closer? Would it, would he be okay with it? Because I don't really have much contact with his side of the family, so I can't even gauge. After he passed away, I don't know. It just felt like they just fell off the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's super strange, but that is such an amazing concept to write about. Like I'm loving that. Yeah, and I have seen a little bit of advertisement for that, because I love that guy since Fleabag. Like Hot
Yes.
Priest, right?
Hot Priest.
Yes. So yeah, yeah.
Doesn't love a good movie with a hot priest, right?
Well,
Yes.
Fleabag was insane. I don't know if you guys um
I love Fleabag. I love
and,
that show.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she was the one who created Killing Eve and a couple other things. She is just an absolutely amazing writer, and it was all based on a one-woman play, and then it became,
Wow.
6 episodes and then 2 seasons, and yeah, it was really, really good. Even little tiny bits of that, like Olivia Colman being in it, and Hot Priest was amazing, and it was just really, really good. So good to know. So I will put that one on the list, because I know it's going to start making the rounds now, where it'll be a little more accessible. That's the hard part about these movies, is that sometimes they're only accessible at film festivals until film festival season is over, or they found distribution, or they're going to be on streamers. And so
Mhm.
we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one.
I
Next.
know it's amazing because some of the films that I saw at the Denver Film Festival premiered in January of this year at Sundance,
Wow.
and we're just now being
Getting
able to see it. And All of Us Strangers, it comes out in theaters here in the States in December, but I don't know when it's going to be over in the UK. So it's crazy how long we have to wait for these
I know
films.
it is nuts, because you see so many flickers and read so many articles, and you're
Yes.
just waiting to have access to them. So
Missing out.
God, yeah, like everybody's talking about them because they went to the Toronto Film Festival. Like, when are we gonna get to that? So yeah, I feel your pain in that respect. It's so true.
But what was really, really cool about the screening is Andrew Haig was there in person, and he introduced the film before we got to see it. And afterwards, he gave a post Q&A and discussed the film. And, it was adapted from a Japanese novel. It didn't have any queer themes in it because that wasn't the focus of the book. But Andrew Haig adapted it to tell a very personal story. His parents are still alive, but it's something that, like you were saying, Denise, everyone who's queer can relate to, of looking for that cathartic experience with their parents. And it was really cool he shared that. It was a lot of fun to see him. I'm hoping to interview him. I actually reached out to his management because I was supposed to interview him at the film festival, and it fell through. I found out that there was less time available, and then when I was actually there, he was perfectly available. So I was like, I don't know what that is about, but I am not missing that opportunity. And
Keep
I reached
going,
out.
right? Keep chasing, as they say over
Way
here.
to go,
Chasing
yeah.
down, chasing
Yeah.
down. I'm right now in the process of chasing down Jay Arnold, who did Shoulder Dance,
Oh,
and we
cool.
keep missing each other by, like, I'm sure because it just started streaming November 14th, right? So he's getting a shit ton of email, and he, like, I'll hit him up on Threads and he'll be like, I got 8 more emails to go, but I see yours in my box, and then by the time he gets to it, the date that I proposed is passed. So we keep
Oh,
just missing each other, but we're gonna shoot for sometime next week, fingers crossed. But I
is
know,
that for your
Hopefully.
show?
It's
For our show?
yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah, definitely. So I feel you there. It's just a big hunt. It's just a big chase down. Come on, get
it
down.
is. Um, and then there were 2 more films that the filmmakers were really involved at the Denver Film Festival.
That's
And I know it's so cool to have these people, come from, across the pond and, around the country to
Oh,
be here
yeah.
and discuss film. And one of the films that was made a lot of headlines and had a lot of buzz is this new film coming out called The People's Joker. I don't know if either of you have heard of it. It is very like under the radar at this point. It's
I feel like we're getting firsthand scoop here.
Right?
yes,
The
it
ex-
is this origin story created by this writer director who stars in it. Her name's Vera Drew, and she is a trans filmmaker. And she decided to rework the Joker mythology from Batman and everything
Well, that's brave.
into like a coming of age, you know, finding your identity kind of story with a trans female comic wanting to create their own comedy club while dealing with Batman, who's a fascist in this world, which, I love that. And, just all these queer themes they make fun of, like SNL and Lorne Michaels. They have
Oh my,
Maria Bamford voicing Lorne Michaels in the film.
oh
And
my God.
it's
Oh,
it's so funny. It was the funniest film, and it involves different types of animation, different filmmaking styles. And it was just so impressive that this woman was writing, directing, producing, and starring in this film and dealing with all this backlash, because I'm sure both of you can imagine
Yeah,
how comic book fanboys and people like that would feel about this story being told in that way. And
yeah.
bless their
she,
perseverance, wow.
yeah, and she also received a cease and desist from Warner Brothers.
Oh,
They said that she was copyright
Or in the
infringement.
name. Yeah,
oh, I was just
infringement.
wondering that. I was just going to ask you that. Like,
Wow.
you
So
do
she
Yeah,
that.
she just blew through that then, huh?
she did, because she's like, no, it's fair use, it's a parody, and she had to pull it from TIFF, yeah, from Toronto,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was like less than 24 hours before they were going to premiere the film, and she got that letter from Warner Brothers, and she just had to like take a step back and figure out what to do, and
Right.
she missed out on that opportunity. And
That's a sin.
I'm so glad that she's like pushing forward, and she was there at the Denver Film Festival. She introduced the film
Well,
when
that's
we got to see it,
yeah.
and she was just discussing the entire experience. It was just like the experience with Andrew Haig, and it was just such, a rewarding experience to be able to, interact with these
Yeah.
filmmakers and have that kind of access.
Awesome.
I love the buzz that a film festival creates.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to town, like Jay, I don't know if you've ever been, but I remember in Fort Lauderdale, we would go, we'd get invited to Cinema Paradiso to see a
Oh,
couple of films, and it's just and you knew that there were other art houses and other little
right,
theaters that were,
right,
showing different movies, and it like you would,
right.
go see one, and see if you had enough time to go catch another one, down the street at a different place, and it was just
Right,
it
right.
creates such an excitement and a buzz, and it's I don't know. I don't know. I think every town is better off for having one, you know, whether it's a tiny local or a big
Oh,
one. Like Denver's pretty big, Toronto's huge, LA, of course, you know. But yeah, I just love the buzz it creates in the city that it's in. It's so cool. Like, and you had 2 weeks of it, right?
Yeah, it was from the 3rd through the 12th. So yeah, about 2 weeks. It
were
was,
they were the people accessible? Like the filmmakers, were they approachable? Could you go up and talk with them, or were they kind of like movie stars that you couldn't get near?
Well, they usually
oh no,
just sit on stage and do a Q&A, right?
well, I will have to say they were very approachable because
Great.
there was a pre-celebration before Andrew Haig's filming, and you know, he was talking to people, he was having conversations with people, you know,
Uh,
just very open to talking.
yeah.
And after the Q&A with Vera Drew, after the People's Joker, she waited out at the lobby in the Sea Film Center, and you know, there's just a line of everyone in the audience
That's so
waiting to
cool.
speak with her, and she, you know,
Oh
you can tell she
wow,
was so excited to talk to them.
that's great.
That's sweet. Yeah, great. I like the diversity in these
Yeah.
films. You know, you go from one that's, you know, super heavy to one that's, you know, fantastical, if you will. You know, like that's I like that. I like that kind of diversity. You know, you never, you know, just don't know. It's the excitement of sitting in that seat and not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's what I loved about all of these queer films is they covered so many different topics and themes and told in so many different ways. There was this film, a British film called Femme that I saw, and it stars George McKay from Pride and 1917, as well as this actor. I have to look him up because he has 3 names and I forget his
Oh,
exact
everybody
name.
loves a double barrel.
Yes. Okay, so his name is Nathan Stewart Jarrett, and he is well known from the Candyman remake. He played the gay brother of one of the characters in the film, and he was also in a few other things, of course. But what the film covers is Nathan Stewart Jarrett. He plays a drag queen, an openly gay man, and he stands up for himself when George McKay's character starts to antagonize him for being in drag. And so once he does that, then he gets beat up, and it completely threatens, you know, his sense of safety and feeling secure in his own identity. He stops doing drag, and then he runs into George McKay at this men's spa and realizes that he's closeted, and it's this thrilling cat and mouse kind of erotic thriller of them entering in this sexual relationship and him coming to terms with what does this mean to be with someone who abused me and whatnot. You know, it was just so compelling to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting. That's
definitely.
an interesting storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Sounds
great.
good. Was that really good? Was that one of the better ones?
Yes, I definitely enjoyed it. It was a very compelling revenge thriller,
What was that
and
one called, Nick?
it's called Femme.
Okay.
Um, and
Awesome.
where are these films? Like, are they to the festival is so they get maybe chosen to get into the big screen? Is that what the festival's part of it is? You put your movie out there and hope it gets picked up to get aired on a
Yeah, usually
hopefully
looking for
big screen, I
distribution.
guess, right? Yeah,
It's
it's a
Yeah,
distribution.
yeah.
yeah,
I
And think
like a
of
lot of the
yeah.
Yeah, at a lot of like the big film festivals, they're looking for distribution, and so that's why they're showing there. But you know, I think it's great specifically for the Denver Film Festival, they're not really looking for that. You know, it's more about being able to share all of these different films with the Denver community, but also they highlight a lot of local films as well. So it really shines a spotlight on a lot of the filmmakers here that, you know, wouldn't get the opportunity at larger film festivals.
That's
Yeah,
yeah, that's really
awesome. That
Yeah.
must have been a great experience.
It was. The last film that I have to mention that I'm really excited because I'm planning on interviewing the director for this film also. It's the new Japanese film Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda, who is a master of filmmaking, a great director from Japan. He was nominated for his film Shoplifters in 2018. Just an incredible film. His films focus on very human themes. They're very humanist, sensitive films. And Monster is his first film since his debut feature almost 30 years ago, where he adapted it from someone else's screenplay. And
Yeah.
a completely different narrative structure because it follows this mother who is concerned about her young son acting up and getting into trouble. And when she goes to investigate, she's met with just this weird response from the school and the teacher at the center of it. And so it's told from her perspective for the first third of the film. And then it shifts perspective to the teacher for the second part of the film. And it goes through the same events through his eyes and the different things that he experienced. And then the third part is finally told from the perspective of the boy and his friend at the center of all the drama. And it turns into this examination of this really gentle friendship between these two boys. And one of the boys is clearly queer coded. He wears more like effeminate and androgynous clothing, and he's more effeminate in how he acts. And so he's picked on a lot. And so the son of the mother of the first part, you know, he has a crush on this boy, basically, you know, and,
Oh.
you know, they develop this really sweet friendship, you know, that's built on this really like childlike love, you know, that happens between children, you know, and it's really interesting because, you know, it's a queer story, but it's about kids. And, you know, it takes away some of the adult elements from the story to make it this very universal and, you know, human story. And it was such a great film to watch. You know, I definitely recommend that.
It sounds
Monster.
adorable. Did you ever, I think it's Disney. We were looking at some LGBTQ series and movies and stuff like that. And there was one that came up called Little Princesses with the little
I
Japanese.
haven't heard of it. That's on Disney?
Yeah.
Never-
And it is about like a very young, Asian, I don't know Chinese or Japanese because I haven't really watched it yet, but I have it on my watch list. And the trailer for it, he's just dancing around in a tutu and he's just so happy
Aw.
with himself. And you can see like the concern on his dad's face, and his mom looks completely enamored with it, with the dad. So yeah, I really want to get into that because like you hit on that, Nick, about Japanese filmmaking. It's so much, it captures so
Yeah.
much in such a unique way. Like it's not, it's just through all the elements coming together and trusting the viewer to experience what you want them to, whereas we're a little more forthcoming, with our American made pictures, like
Yes.
shove themes down your throat and do things with a look. And, it's so I love the subtleties of it, and I'm looking forward to watching that one. Like I keep forgetting it's there, because it'll bring you to what you were last watching. So I keep forgetting to go look under what I have marked. So yeah, that's gonna be a good one. But good, that's another. That sounds like another banger.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to check that out. Because I am loving Japanese cinema, just throughout history, and lately I've been really enjoying different Japanese films. And it's funny you bring that up because that simplicity, that nuance, that is so present in the other Japanese films that I saw at the Denver Film Festival. I saw two other Japanese films there that were just incredible. One is a new Wim Wenders film, and he's not Japanese, but it's set in Japan, and it's called Perfect Days. Just, a beautiful story about finding happiness and beauty and simplicity. It's about this man who is a toilet cleaner, a public toilet cleaner in Japan. And the toilet, like the restrooms, the public restrooms in Japan, like in the parks, they look so cool, by the way. Like you have to look these bathrooms up, like the architecture and style and some of the features, so
Yeah.
cool. But regardless of that,
That's not a
he
weird thing over here, by the way. I just want you to know that there's
What's
like
that?
literally a page devoted to bathrooms in London.
what?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Like there's
Oh, that's funny.
people talk about the bathrooms in the Shard, because they're like these round little pods, so you go into this
So
bathroom
you have privacy.
privacy, even though they're all in a row and they look like eggs, but it's just,
Are they clean? Is
yeah,
it the whole thing about them being clean?
it's about them being unique.
Hmm.
So
Huh.
yeah, it's not a
I
weird
bet
thing,
they have something
but
like that for Tokyo or something.
yeah, they must.
But it was just such a great story, and so I definitely recommend that as well. And then the other Japanese film I saw was from the Best International Feature Oscar winner, Drive My Car, that director.
Yes, yeah.
He has a new movie coming out called Evil Does Not Exist. And that one was another, very simple, but um, kind of abstract kind of film where you really question what's going to happen because the ending is totally unexpected. It's about this village in Japan that becomes really popular with glamping tourists.
Okay.
And so, it's this peaceful, really connected community that really cares about their land and their people. And then there's this company that comes in that doesn't care about their community at all, that wants to completely change, the
Monetize, right?
scenery, yeah,
Yeah.
and monetize it and destroy the community. And it's really interesting to see how evil is explored, just how the film I mentioned, Monster, how monster, the meaning of that is explored, the different
Mhm.
meanings. And it's the same with Evil Does Not Exist, and how the plot progresses and what happens by the end of the film. It just shocks you. But when you think about it, it's very interesting, and it's a great follow-up to Drive My Car. So
Oh, cool. That's
That
some of
sounds
the
really good. Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think I've noticed, that my common thread in things that I like any favorite series of mine, like Schitt's Creek and Ted Lasso, and
Yeah.
it's because of the character's progression from the first two or three episodes to the final
Hmm.
episode of the, when you go back and look at how subtly that character has changed into what you have now in the final couple episodes. It's
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
like masterpiece work in Schitt's Creek and in Ted Lasso. Like not so much with Ted, but in Nate and in Rebecca and in Keely, and so those characters, and the same thing with Schitt's Creek, like David and Alexis and Johnny, like they're primary characters. They're those changes, like that's the thing that to me makes such a brilliant series, and if a movie can capture that in just 90 minutes or 120 minutes or whatever, like that is art. Like that's what
Right.
makes it phenomenal. So yeah, I think, stop it. My cat is scratching the door. That's part of, to me, like what I look for in something. If I'm moved by that, then
Yeah.
I feel like it's really good work. It puts it on my favorites list immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really good.
very impressive when that happens.
Yeah. It's such a credit to the writers, but and to the actors, that do it so subtly that you don't notice it. You're not really. I wish I could film this right now. It's happening. My cat just jumped like 6 feet in the air.
Oh my gosh.
I've never seen her little springs work like that. Wow. Holy cow. She could have went from floor to top of fridge. That was amazing.
Oh, wow.
She is
That's quite a leap.
I don't even know what made her do it. There's absolutely nothing there.
That's quite a leap. That's impressive.
Oh, there's a bug. Okay. There's some kind of weird
That's
little.
why.
Okay.
What I've been finding, Nick, like as I watch movies, new ones, and then maybe some that are not so new, but I haven't seen them yet. There's so many times that movies, like the newer movies, don't have a definitive, like clear ending. Like they leave it up to you to try to figure out what the ending is. And, even if you go back to, what was that movie with Richard Gere and Diane? What's her name? Oh, I can't think of her name. Where they were having the affair. He had
Diane Lane.
Diane Lane. She had the affair with the French guy.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, God, I remember
and
that.
then they leave you with the ending that he's in front of the police station, and you don't know, does he turn into the police station and turn himself in? Did he decide to go to Mexico? Like so many movies are like that. Did you find the movies that you were seeing, do they have clear endings as to what and how the story ended?
No, definitely not. I think that what you brought up really, encapsulates some of the films that I saw. Like Evil Does Not Exist. The ending was so sudden and so unexpected that, it really had you questioning what was going to happen next. There wasn't resolution in the film. And, Femme that I mentioned, it ends in such a violent way, but there's no resolution at the end of that film either. And so you really do question what's going to happen to these
Mhm.
characters at the end of these films, because you're right, it's like they don't end.
Do you think that they do that to make it just make you think? Or do you think they do that because maybe there's a part two? They want to leave themselves open for a part two? Or do you think, I mean, do you think that's art? Or do you, I sometimes I'll be like, I watched 2 hours of my life just went to this movie and I don't know what the end of the story was. I don't want to have to
I
work for
always
that.
wonder, like, do they want you? Have they manipulated you to the point of feeling a certain way that they
So they
want
don't have
you
to
to
make it
feel,
end.
that they want you to feel, or do they trust you enough to understand what they want for those characters? You will want for those characters.
I don't know. I mean, is it
Interesting.
just like they just didn't know how to end it, so they just figured, oh, we'll just let people think we're leaving it up to them, but we don't
No, I
really
never
know
think
how to end
that.
this.
I never
Like,
think that. I do think that yeah, there's always a reason behind it. And that's the beauty of having the directors there to be able to talk
right. Yeah.
about their process,
Yeah.
because you don't know, not many people get that privilege, they're not,
No, that's true.
you know,
Now, I will say that there was a major reveal at the end of All of Us Strangers that I feel like could be confusing to audiences, and we didn't bring it up at all during the Q&A. It was never discussed. And so that was one thing where, just like that, leaving open-ended things like that, I don't know. I'm still really curious what some of the thought process was behind those choices. So
That's yeah, that's so it's so interesting. We just
It makes you think. It really does make you think.
Yeah, it
like,
does.
I think that
just
is their point. I think so.
just within the last, like, say 15 years or so, it went from, movies having, a beginning, a middle, and an end that we were all used to. We all knew exactly how to feel throughout the movie and at the end, and when we walked out, whether it was good, bad, or ugly. Because I'll tell you, like,
Right.
there were movies that I walked out of, like I walked out of Beaches crying mess. I walked out of Boys Don't Cry and threw up,
Mm,
at my
Aw.
car. Like,
yeah.
they're just, but you knew that that was normal. You were feeling exactly the way you were supposed to feel.
Exactly,
And
right.
then something happened where movies became so artsy, and
Yes,
there was so
exactly.
much artistic freedom and artistic license being taken, that you do walk out of a movie feeling like you just got hit in the back of the head with a frying pan.
Yeah,
Like, did I black out in the last 15 minutes? Did that?
right?
Yeah.
That is
So
kind of a newer concept, right? Like in the last, I mean, I know that that other movie with Richard Gere and Diane Lane is not, is, what is that? That's got to be 20 years old, or if it's a day,
yeah.
um but uh but like I think it is like a newer, the newer ones, you never find anything with an ending. I've yet to find like the later movies. Now I'm not surprised anymore when they don't have an ending. I'm like, oh, another one. I like the ending. I want to
Yeah.
leave knowing I'm feeling the way they meant me to feel, and that's it.
I think that
Well,
was like one of the reasons why Barbie was so successful then. Like, we all walked out of there knowing exactly how to feel,
Right.
exactly what. And look at the money that made and brought in. It is the ones with the open-ended, you know, you believe what you want to believe concept,
Right, right.
um, yeah, that you feel a little less happy about spending your money. Like, I didn't want to come here and have to piece the ending together myself.
Right, right.
It's
Exactly.
spoon-fed. I wanted it spoon-fed to me. Um, but I do think that that's part of the big vastness, of movie making. There's just so many avenues now, and because of streaming services, more ways to see things. So those of us that may not want to go out to a movie theater and worry about being let down, I don't care if that happens in my own house, because I'm just going to
Right.
keep playing.
Venture out.
So I
I
do.
think it's so funny that you mentioned that because I feel kind of the opposite in a way. It's like I've been really enjoying the more experimental type of narratives, because
Yeah,
Mhm.
two films that I just saw recently, I saw the new DC like superhero film Blue Beetle earlier today.
yeah, yeah.
And I saw the Netflix film, the biopic that's based off of Bayard Rustin's life and his work
Yes,
with
I keep seeing
MLK.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And both of those movies are very much by the book, formulaic films. Like, the Bayard Rustin film, Rustin, great, commanding performance from Coleman Domingo. But the film was just so expected. Besides biopics, you understand the history that's going to happen,
Mhm.
so you know what's happening in the film, but you know, there were just no risks taken. It was just the same formula, and
Those are
you
for
get kind
people
of
like
tired
us. Those are for
of
people like us. You
That one
understand that
ending.
because you're the younger generation with the open, expanded mind. You know,
Right.
we're the ones that are like, just want a beginning, middle, end. If I have a little snicker, a
Want
little
the
cry,
end.
that's okay, but I need my ending. Yeah.
well, I think that's my problem with the film is that, I felt like the film was made for such a broad audience that it forsake what was special about the man that the film was about. It's like he deserved so much more. He deserved a richer story to be told about his life. And That was my main complaint, and I really do get excited when we break away from the formula. But
Yeah.
sometimes, I totally agree. Like, there's like those court procedural type films, like the legal thrillers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They're very much the same formula. Oh my gosh, I can watch those nonstop.
Especially like if you're
Yeah.
watching something that you know the history behind it, and you're like, well, like we watched the first 4 episodes of The Crown, for the final, how they
Yeah.
parts. So the first 4 came out yesterday, and the next 4 come out December. The final 4 come out December 14th, and you're watching these 4 episodes, and it's all building towards the car crash, towards Princess Diana's car crash, and
Oh.
you're getting sicker and sicker with each episode because it's coming, and it we went through an entire box of Kleenex. Like,
I saw you have the post
yeah,
with the clean.
yeah,
I
it was absolutely brutal and heartbreaking, and and the 4th episode before the month-long break is the aftermath, the how the families are dealing with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, and I read Harry's book, so I knew exactly what was, if they were going to keep it close to the vest, I knew exactly what was, how the boys were told and what was said and all that. But yeah, it's when you know what to expect, sometimes that's even harder,
Right. I mean,
to,
that's a clear, you know what to expect with that.
yeah.
So
But that's how I feel about like a lot of um autobiography type, movies, biographical type movies and stories and
yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, that's one way of knowing how it's going to end.
What did you think of, so what was unexpected from what I've heard? Because I haven't watched The Crown in a couple seasons.
Mhm.
But I knew what was going to happen with Princess Diana, and I heard that, after the death in the show, she comes back as a ghost appearing to different characters. Has that happened yet in these episodes? Okay, I was like, are they going to wait till the back half, or are they already doing that? And
And I do think it's more for the viewers to understand the mindset like of Charles, you know, um, why his reaction was what it was. Same with the Queen, why the Queen, you know, why it took her so long to make a statement. Those 4 days when everybody was, the whole entire country was in mourning and upset, and it was becoming chaotic. And they wanted her to say something, and she knew. And
Yeah.
it was a matter of her coming to grips with um being progressive instead of being so steeped in tradition and history that they remain stoic and they just push through and persevere. It was a different time, and she had to modernize to stand in front of cameras and say nice things about someone that she might not have felt that way about. um but yeah, the weird ghosty things were small, but I think essential. And they did it with Dodie too. Like he came back because of his awful relationship with his father, and kind of let that old man come to grips with things. But yeah, I'm like really looking forward to the next. The ending is more, I think, like William and Kate meet in their courtship and his relationship with Harry, and how Camilla gets slotted in, and all that. So it'll feel a little bit more recent.
yeah.
Yeah.
How long is that going on? Like how many seasons, or is it a
This is
long
it. This is the final 4 ever. So 6 seasons of it all culminate in these next
so
4
wow.
episodes in December. Yeah. The
Wow.
earlier ones were just fantastic. There was so much
Yeah.
stuff I think that I didn't know about,
Yeah.
being an outsider. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
about the mine, in Wales, that the mine shaft that exploded or whatever, and all the deaths and all that stuff back then. And you know how like I first learned about it in The Crown, but watching We Are Wrexham, they did a whole episode about that because it happened near Wrexham. And
Really?
yeah, and every year or whatever, they have this huge thing where they honor all the lives that were lost in that mine disaster, and what it means to that community and everything. And I was just like, wow, like here's two shows that are so different, and both
Yeah.
talking the same thing that happened in history, and how it how it's handled. Really,
Yeah.
really cool, amazing stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I swear by it, but I learned a lot from watching The Crown about the royals, and especially reading Harry's book too, about how they handle things. How their relationship with the press is a little give and take, which I never knew. Just a lot of little things, I think, that it's helpful for an outsider. Like I didn't live here
Yeah.
my whole, you know what I mean? So it's quite interesting. Whereas I think people over here are probably happy that The Crown is coming to an end.
You think?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they
Well,
want.
yeah. How do most people feel about the depiction of the monarchy over in the UK? Because I had a feeling most people like probably thought they were a little too lenient with how they depicted the royals, because most people have been kind of critical of it. Is that what you've noticed, or?
Yeah, I think people feel like it's a very glossy rendition of what really happens and goes on. Like there weren't enough bombshells. But I do think that part of the reason they didn't receive Harry's book well was because there were too many, you know.
Mm,
So it's a
Yeah.
very delicate balance.
There are. Yeah.
You have
Right.
your supporters and you have your haters,
Mm-hmm.
ones that are, it's just literally object to having a monarchy, and in this day and age, kind of thing, and this is bullshit, and why is our money going to those kinds of things. And I think like little bits of that trickle into The Crown, but not nearly enough. And then I think in Harry's book, because he's so adamantly against some of those traditions, and is such a champion for change,
Yeah.
and that upset people. So it's a really delicate balance, because I do think it's very down the middle between your supporters and your haters over here. And it's, a lot of, it creates a lot of division, I think.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
gosh,
Quiet.
so many our countries are divided, like
Yeah.
so
I was just gonna say it's a little
divided.
quieter. There's no riots here on the steps of Buckingham Palace or anything. But yeah, it's very hush hush. You know what I mean? Like there's people are just very different the way they handle their emotions over here. It's very like snuffed down, unless they're having a couple of beers in a pub. They're having a
That's
couple of beers in a
right.
pub, you're gonna hear some saucy exchanges. So,
the way they are in general, right? As people, they
yeah.
kind of
Oh,
know
yeah,
express
definitely.
their emotions
My
a
first
lot.
couple of years here, I was just like, God, it's everybody is so uptight, polite. It's as if they're thinking that they need to be this way because they might run into a royal.
Ah,
I don't really understand why they're this, like, they just do not have an obnoxious bone in their body. They don't have like emotions that just, come up to the surface or anything. They're very much, I think, they're born and raised, to keep that snuff down and be polite. I mean, like they literally will bump into a mailbox and then go, "Oh, sorry," like every sentence starts with "sorry, but." Sorry, but it's just they can't be meek enough. You know what I mean? It's very, very
So that is true. Remember in Chevy Chase when he was in European vacation, when he hit the guy on the bike going around the circle, and then every time he kept hitting him with the car, and he's like, "It's okay, it's the broken leg and the broken arm."
sorry.
Yeah,
She's
sorry, it was my fault. It was my
my
fault.
favorite thing is when, like, normally our mail comes through the mail slot, right, on the front door. And sometimes
Yeah,
they have
that's big
something that,
there, right?
what's up?
That's big there. That's what they do.
Oh yeah,
normally.
everybody has a mail slot, right? But sometimes the postman will have something that's too big to fit through the slot, so he has to
Yeah.
ring the doorbell, and he rings the doorbell, and you open it, and he goes, "Sorry, here you go." Like he's so upset that he had to bother you to give you
Your package.
but it's his job. It cracks me up. Cracks me up. Yeah, it is a very different way of
love it.
life here. Very
Love it.
different. But you just end up falling into it. Like when we went to recently, we went to the Palladium to see Dawn French do her twat, one woman twat, I should say. They don't really say twat here, like with an O. It's with definitely an A, twat. But anyways, yeah. They love a queue over here, right? They're very patient about standing in line for anything. They're perfect. But in the Palladium, there's a guy that stands between the two doors and he shouts when the doors are going to be opening. And if your seats are, over here, stand in this line. If your seats are over, and then everybody has to shuffle to get in the right line. And like normally I wouldn't say anything if I been into somebody or whatever, and now I find myself going, "Oh, sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's not me." I don't know. I just fall right into it. So
Especially being in a New Yorker, kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
you weren't in
yeah,
the Brooklyn part of New York, which is the worst for that stuff, like not being polite.
but it's funny because they love that. Like they love New Yorkers and New York accents. And
Really?
oh my God, they'll tell you the minute you're
Popular there.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know that they like the attitude, but they definitely like the accent. I think they would shrink in the presence of, like cringe, but they love the accent. It's just it's hilarious to me. It's so funny. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine when you come. No worries. But anyways, listen, that was such a fantastic wrap up of
Yes.
good stuff you've seen. I can't honestly, I can't wait. I don't over here there's a festival called Rain Dance that's really interesting because not only is it films, it's also webby things.
Yeah.
Though that's always interesting. And then of course the BFI, the British Film Institute, does a big one. And I think that's Ben, so I missed that in a big way. But we will all keep an eye out for these ones that you have so highly recommended.
Yeah.
And we will definitely have to have you back soon and discuss news.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so nice to see you. I love your background.
Thank you.
I know,
Yeah,
that's
I love
great.
seeing my name back there in yours,
Right?
JD. We didn't talk about any queer news because that's too depressing a topic to talk about right now. So we don't need to cover it right now.
I like if we make it queer entertainment news.
Yes,
So,
yes.
So we'll give you a couple of weeks to gather up all the biggest headlines in entertainment news, and then we'll have
I'll make it queer entertainment news.
There you go. Perfect. All right, guys, go enjoy your Saturday. That was too fun.
All right,
Yes,
I'm off to
thank
Gold
you.
Girls.
Thank you, Nick, for doing that
Have fun with
extensive
the
research.
Golden Girls.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, bye, guys.
Why do you always run?
Like, never stop chasing your dreams.
We drank way too much whiskey.
Yeah, see? See?
My addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. my